In this video, I'm going to discuss why things are expensive in Zimbabwe. Now, these are all my opinions and they're not facts, but it's through observation over a very long period of time. So what I've realized is that things go up in price mainly because of us Zimbabweans. We increase the value of things easily. So if we go back, let's say 20 years ago, you would find that a lot of people would purchase land, cars, houses, and so on. And that, of course, increases the what? The demand. Because in any business situation or even in economics, when the demand is high, of course, the price goes up. So no wonder why now buying even 200 square meters, you're talking about at least 10,000 in Harare. At least 10,000 for 200 square meters. And that is very, very small. It's not even, anything major. Building that house in Harare, we're talking about at least 40,000, 50,000, just building it. And then when you talk about finishings, it's crazy. So in my opinion, we drive all these prices up. Let's look at cars. If you drive around Harare, especially at times where it's very busy, there's a lot of traffic, you'll notice that you'll see all sorts of cars. And then you wonder, how are people purchasing these? So those people that sell anything in Zimbabwe, they know that you'll find the money. They know that you will find a way to get that money. And Zimbabwe is a country which is full of a lot of educated professionals in the diaspora. So these people have access to loans, okay? They have access to a lot of loans, so they will buy all these products easily without stressing. So if you're someone who's selling, would you sell your cars or your products, whatever it is, at a very low price, knowing that people are able to buy? Of course not, because you know that people can afford it. So that now is a challenge, because for someone now who wants to purchase, for the first time, maybe a car or maybe even land, you'll find that the price is super exorbitant. And that's the main reason. So the other thing as well is Zimbabweans have realized that no matter where you are, we can lie to each other and say, you know what, I'm going to live in Australia for the rest of my life, or I'm going to live in the UK for the rest of my life. Fine. But a big chunk of those people emotionally are still connected with Zimbabwe, because deep down we know that Zimbabwe, or even if we talk about tourism, can you compare tourism in Zimbabwe and tourism in the UK? It's miles apart. Zimbabwe is way much better because you have access to the natural environment. Look at who goes to Victoria Falls. It's a lot of foreigners because they want to see the natural inhabitants of animals. They want to see everything natural. But here in Europe, I remember when I went to Barcelona, there was nothing really to look at. It was way too busy, and the buildings were so close together, so small. It wasn't even very exciting. The only thing that I thought was, oh wow, this is amazing, was a church. I forgot the name of this church in Barcelona. It was built by this famous architect. That was the only thing I said, oh wow. But really, would you purchase a plane ticket to go and see that? No. And of course, I went to the beach, but it was, I went to the beach as well. But nothing to drive home about. But in Zimbabwe now, you can go on a safari trip. And that could be an experience of a lifetime. Even if you go to Big Falls and just looking at those falls, right? I know it's overrated now because everyone just talks about it. But this is natural, okay? It's amazing. And then there's a lot of places where you can go and where you can live in these safari places. It's beautiful. I've seen these places which, I'm forgetting all the names now, but I've just seen it on the internet where these people like Bill Gates and Barack Obama go to when they come to Zimbabwe. These are very exclusive, brilliant places. In fact, you know what? If you watch the Top Gear guys, they went to some hotel which was in the Eastern Highlands. Beautiful. That's the type of stuff I'm talking about. It's a natural environment, and the weather is fantastic, and you're just surrounded by nature. So a lot of these European countries don't really have that. And I'm not saying they don't, absolutely, because I know some of you guys will be saying, oh, but I went to this country and I went to... Okay, we're just saying overall, it is much, much better. So people know that you are definitely going to have a connection with Zimbabwe, and you will find that money. I'll give you another example. If you get sick in Zimbabwe and you need surgery, they know if you run around, you're going to get that money, because somewhere, somehow, we are connected. Someone has a relative somewhere in the diaspora, or someone is connected to someone who has money. Of course, that's not the majority of people. But the reason why these businesses are there is because there are a lot of people that are sustaining them. Imagine if we all say, okay, you know what? No more sending all these monies back home from the diaspora. And this is 4 billion, by the way. 4 billion is a lot of money in remittances. So, as I've mentioned before in some of my videos, no wonder why schools are very expensive in Zimbabwe. One of the reasons why I could not relocate 100% in Zimbabwe was the fact that when I went there, my younger kids were still in school. So I wanted to enroll them into private school. Can you believe that? I could not get a space. They were all fully booked. All fully booked. Some of them, they're fully booked for years. And this is in Zimbabwe, where you're paying 5,000, 6,000 per term in fees. How is that even possible? In a country where we say to each other, hey, the economy is bad, hey, Zimbabwe is messed up, the economy is this, the economy is that. Sometimes I think we say these things because we are in denial of the reality that's on the ground. Because from what I see, and by the way, you might think I'm generalizing. I'm not saying every single person in Zimbabwe is wealthy or everything is 100% good in Zimbabwe. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying for that little percentage, even if we call it a 1% or even a 5%, it's thriving, and it's thriving big. It's thriving so big that if you compare your life, or rather, let me compare my lifestyle here in the UK versus the lifestyle of some people in in Zimbabwe, they're way much better off by far. So this is what I'm trying to say, that everything has been driven up in price because people can fund it. People can put money together. People can send money back home. You know, a small country like Zimbabwe, 3-4 billion in remittances every year. That's serious money. So if you wanted to go and start a chicken business, guess what? To start off, let's say, with a batch of 5,000 chickens, you need 20,000 cash. It's like cash to start with a batch of 5,000. Okay, why would it be that expensive? Well, the answer to that is the prices are that high because everyone knows that if all goes to plan and you sell those 5,000 chickens, you are going to double your profits. Just like that, in 6 weeks. So would you not increase your prices if you were selling something? Of course you would. Come on. If you go into beef, yes, you buy your cow for 500, you take it to the abattoir, you're going to pay top dollar to get it all sliced up and packaged. Because the person who is cutting that meat for you knows that you are going to make a lot of money. Even cars, you'll be surprised that a 20-year-old car, in fact, some of these models, these Toyotas, Isuzus, when you buy those cars, they don't even care about mileage because the car just runs. And that car will be at least 6,000. And I'm talking about a 20-year-old car, at least 6,000. And then you ask yourself, who will be buying an old banger for 6,000? It defies logic. But guess what? People buy them. And when you buy them, people are buying them cash. I was even surprised when when these stands are announced in Harare. Do you know people are buying these stands cash in Zim? And then you wonder, how are they doing this? It's because these people now who are selling the land, people who are selling properties, even rentals. Do you know, in some places in Harare, you can pay rentals of up to 1,300, especially Harare North. 1,500 is not unheard of. Rent. It's not unheard of. Why? Because people can still afford it in Zimbabwe. So this is something that I've seen over time, that the price is there. It's not because of the US dollar. It's not because they don't respect the US dollar. No. In my opinion, it's because people are buying these things. Because sometimes the market is driven by what? By the demand. If people are putting the money out there and they're paying, why would I reduce the price of that product? Why would I? If people are paying. If I wake up tomorrow and I say, okay, guys, you know what? I'm selling my chickens at $10 each. And as soon as I make an announcement, 100 people buy. Do you think I'm going to lower the price of those chickens? Of course not, because I know there's a demand. But do you know when I'll lower my price? If the chicken market is flooded, there's so many people who are, say, buying these chickens, it forces me now to lower my price because, hey, there's a lot of competition. So at the moment, there's no competition because there's a shortage of all these commodities, massive shortages. You know, cars. Can you imagine a country like Zimbabwe is saying you can't import a car which is more than 10 years old? That is fascinating to me. Zimbabwe. So the way I see it, I think Zimbabweans, business owners, landowners, entrepreneurs, they've seen that the next wave of Zimbabweans are going to be much better off financially. Why am I saying this? For the past 20 years, a lot of people have gone to the diaspora. They've gathered a lot of skills, and chances are there's a big chunk of them that would want to retire back home. So it only makes sense that the prices of land, the prices of houses will go up because they're catering for this new wave. Because when we talk about retirement, we're talking about having a lifestyle which is relaxed, no pressure, no stress. So where can you live with no pressure, no stress? Of course, Zim. You couldn't do that here in the UK, because if you think about it, if you wanted to retire in the UK, you still have to, and in fact, things keep changing every single time. You know, the goalposts are changing, the tax system, every year there's something about tax which is changing. You know, it's always something. So to catch up with it until, let's say, retirement, you rather stay in a country where, you know what, you don't need to worry about council tax. You don't need to worry about all these taxes everywhere. You can just, if you're better off in Zim. Okay, these are my opinions, by the way. Because even if you have a house, let's say in the UK, in retirement, who are you going to be surrounded? Do you think the guys back home don't even think about this? They do. You're going to be surrounded by very few people, right? And these few people, you are probably going to be, let's say, in your house, and you'll be part of those group of people where they say that the old age, right? And you're relying now on your what? On your pension. And of course, if you look at the inflation, your pension won't be worth a lot of money. Trust me, it won't be worth a lot of money. So you will be just living. And then if you look at your quality of life, who's around you at that time, you know, you'll find that it's different compared to if you were amongst Zimbabweans around you in Zimbabwe. So people back home, they are watching, and they know that people go to care homes here in the UK. They know that. And they know that you would rather, if you could, have your own house in Zimbabwe. So guess what? They increase those prices because the demand is very, very, very high. So these are the reasons why these prices go up. Even in my situation right now, I need a pickup truck. And it's actually stressing me right now because the moment I land in Zimbabwe, of course, I'm going to fix up my Discovery, but it's not a car which is solid, which can be used on a day-to-day basis because it's not a reliable car. So I need one of those old Toyotas, you know, definitely those Toyota Hiluxes. And I'm going to need at least 15,000 before I go to Zimbabwe. 15,000, so I can do I can travel back and forth back and forth to and from the farm, doing my deliveries, my chickens, you know, buying feed, you know, stuff like that. I'm going to need a solid car. So I need at least 15,000, 16,000 for a very old car, perhaps maybe even 15, 20-old car. So that in itself, you're not going to go home and find someone selling a car like that for 2,000. It's not going to happen. And I know that's the reality. So it is very, very tough. The other thing is, setting up a business in Zimbabwe has a low barrier to entry. Why am I saying this? There's a low barrier to entry because you can literally right now decide you want to go into horticulture, get a piece of land, get someone who has the know-how, and then you just start farming, just like that. Can you do that in the UK? Absolutely not, because there are so many restrictions. Even if you wanted to do it, getting land here is not as easy and straightforward. Secondly, the labor is very high. Thirdly, the climate is not very good. So do you think that people in Zimbabwe don't see that? Do you think they don't know that? Of course they do. Let's say you want to go into chickens. The barrier to entry is your money. And it's simple. There's very little things that can stop you from setting it up. In fact, you can. It's just your money. If you have your money is ready, you can set up and start that chicken business just like that. Easy, easy. Barrier to entry very very low. So do you see how it is very 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 difficult for anyone to think that things are supposed to be cheap in Zimbabwe? They won't be. They won't be. Those days are gone. Those days where we would just wake up and send £20 and that £20 is worth, quite a lot of Zim dollars. Those days are gone. So now you really have to be frugal and you have to be financially literate to know where your money goes. And if it does go, you have to make sure you're doing the right thing. Otherwise, the money is poured down the drain. And unfortunately, people on the ground in Zimbabwe, in fact, I've got a video coming out very soon talking about how I'm so disappointed after setting up all my cameras. I thought I had everything all planned. But anyway, that's going to be my next video, okay? So even the scammers back home, they know you're desperate. You want things to start running on the ground. And no one will say to you, I can't do the job. Everyone will tell you they can do the job. So now you have to rely on what? On referrals. And it is very, 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 very difficult. So this is why I'm saying, despite all this, the prices in Zimbabwe will not stay low. They will go up and they'll continue to go up. I don't see the prices of anything in Zimbabwe right now going down. No ways. It's going to continue to go up because there's a serious demand. Right now, as we are speaking, a lot of people want to invest back home. In fact, I'm one of those who's spearheading this campaign of Kumusha investments, right? And of course, there's been a few delays because we want to do it right and make sure that everyone is protected. There's a few delays, but this is something that we're working on, and a lot of people are keen. They can't wait to get started. So this is why I'm saying, Zimbabwe was going to be expensive. So don't let that be something that is driving you away or pushing you away. No, be a part of the journey, be a part of the story, and just make sure that you have a piece of that pie, of that success that will be happening in what? In Zim. I know it's very, very scary. And I'm not pushing an agenda here where, listen to me, whatever I say is perfect, whatever I say is the right thing. No, I've tasted both worlds. And trust me, when I'm in Zimbabwe, it's actually even way too relaxing. Right now, I'm out here in this open space because I thought, you know what, let me enjoy the sun because we're going into winter now. It's going to be raining every day. It's going to be very, very messed up every day. So, yeah, in Zimbabwe, it's the opposite. The sun every day, even in June. You get a few days where it's cloudy, but for the most part, it's hot. So these are the reasons why Zimbabwe is expensive and will continue to be expensive. And this is the right opportunity to take advantage of the fact that you are still able-bodied. Do something in Zimbabwe. Don't wait for the prices to go down or for the price of anything to go. It's not going to happen in Zimbabwe. Zimbabweans are too smart and too clever. They know the value of money. They know the value of money. Anything you're going to do in Zimbabwe is going to be expensive. Drilling a bore, it's going to be expensive. We're talking about at least 4,000 needed to have a proper setup with the pumps, the solar, everything. At least $4,000. Building a house, I mentioned earlier on, very expensive. Buying a car, very, very expensive. Trying to get your child into a good education, very, very expensive. So, because people can afford it. People can afford it. So anyway, I'd like to hear your thoughts. Why do you think things in Zimbabwe are very expensive? I'd like to hear your thoughts. These were just my opinions. And by the way, guys, my chicken business is progressing. I will leave a link to ruwaorganic.com. Please go ahead and leave your name and phone number, and I'll notify you when the chickens are ready, and we will be able to do deliveries on the ground in Zimbabwe. Until next time, thanks for watching, and I'll see you again in the next one. Take care.